Greetings, dear viewer, new or returning, and welcome to this 28th episode of my survival Minecraft Let's Play. I am iWhat, and if you know where I am right now, you definitely are a returning viewer, and one that has been watching me for quite a long time actually. Because right now we are in one of the oldest parts of our base, that is the skeleton room. And we are here today because I want to continue the trend of what we did in the last episode, and that is to just expand our base and build nice things. Today I would like to build a decorative room over here, or at least I would like to start doing that. Maybe after that we'll do some other things. Hello, nice and close up to my face. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, I think there is one very, very important thing that we should do. And I think the returning viewers, which I have referenced already like 3 times in this intro, will know exactly what I mean. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please play the intro? In the previous episode, we built this farm that is right in front of me, which gives you this type of flour if you give it bone meal. And in between episodes, I added a tiny little detail to it that really feels like the finishing touch and improves this build a lot, in my opinion. Just listen carefully. It plays a little no-block tune when you start it, and it also plays a little tune when it is done, or at least it should do so. I don't know how long it will run with these 3 bone meal. It shouldn't be too long. Just wait for it. Yeah, there we go, it's done, and now, you know, it won't generate anymore because it's out of bone meal. Also, in between episodes, I fixed the iron golem farm, and I am actually really confused by what the fix was, because I don't understand how it worked previously, if this was the fix. So, let's go in here so I can show you what is going on here. So, the problem was that the villagers were not sleeping, and if your villagers cannot sleep, they will not produce iron golems. And the reason they were not sleeping is because they require 2 blocks of space above their bed. I think we encountered this problem a long time ago already in our villager breeder or something. I don't remember, but I already knew this was a thing, so I just lowered the beds 1 block and that fixed it. But I am actually kind of confused because this farm worked for a really, really long time. So they definitely were able to sleep earlier, so I don't understand why it broke suddenly. Yeah, okay, let's get out of the redstone mess here and let's get into the clean part of our world, and let's actually move over to the area where I want to do stuff. Which is, actually I should do this more. I feel like I should show you more like how all of the builds that we do in these videos are like related to each other, and how the layout of my world is. Yes, I wanted to walk over here because I trimmed the leaves in the ceiling, and if you notice a detail you'll notice it, but I'm not going to say what it is. So I trimmed the leaves over there and over there and over there, and then finally in the bottom one over here. Right, and then we arrive where we started off, and I want to build over here, and as usual, that starts by digging a hole. Alright, I think this is a good start. However, I feel like I will inevitably expand this hole a lot bigger, but that doesn't matter. We can start with this and we can begin working our thing. So, what I have in mind for this room is for it to actually be kind of spacious, so maybe I should immediately start digging more. But I really want this room to be a very lush and green room with lots of plants. I really want to spam all of the plants that there are at my disposal here. And maybe we'll add some water along the sides or some stuff. I don't really want to add too much functionality to this room, simply because I don't feel like it. I feel like I should build some decorative rooms in our base every now and then. And yeah, so that's the idea. The second thing that I want to do in this room is connect it to a different part of our base. So in the pink area of our base, a long time ago, we have built an elevator, but we haven't connected that elevator to anything. And I think if my calculations are correct, that will line up somewhere in this wall towards that direction. So I kind of want to make it possible to go from here up to the pink area. And maybe it's best if I show you where that is. I am talking about this area right here next to the sugarcane farm. And we have these two things right here with these arrows, but they are not connected to anything. And I think if we go down, we should end up somewhere near that area that we were in a second ago, but I can't seem to find it. I don't think it's this deep down, so maybe I've dug already too much. Okay, so it is way further out than I thought it was, but if you go over here, you actually find the hole that we dug just a second ago. And the other one is then going to be like 2 blocks or 3 blocks this way and then up. So the idea is that we connect that with an elevator that goes up. Right, let's dig a little bit more, and I think we should first design the elevator part. To figure out how I want to do this, I feel like I should start with the door that we have right here. So this is the entrance of the room, or at least the entrance from this side. And I feel like we should sort of decorate this door a little bit and add a fancy door framing to it. And on top of that, that is kind of important because it helps us in figuring out what I want over here. Because I figure that we should sort of separate this elevator thing from the room and also give it its own door. So I feel like we should give it a similar door frame as we are using over here. And the block of choice that I want to try is birchwood. So let's try and figure some stuff out. Oh, by the way, we cannot move this scaffolding, so we can't really go back, because this is used in our redstone access for the wool farm. If we open this chest, it will unlock this thing, and we kind of need this scaffolding here to get into the behind the scenes here. So we have to kind of come forward a block here, and we can start with this. And let's see, we can mirror it on the other side, of course. And I feel like we should immediately go up a block already. We can put some blocks in front of the light. Okay, let's start with that. How does that look? Okay, that's a start. We should put mangrove wood in the corners so we don't have a gap there. Okay, let's do it like that. Let's add some stairs and maybe some slabs like that. Does that look good? I think it's doable. I think we can figure something out with that. Yeah, I can see this work. Let me figure something out and I'll show you when I've built it. It turns out that just plain and simple basic framing, like I just constructed, actually works the best here. I tried a couple different things, but they all were kind of meh, and I already copied it over here. And this is kind of key because now we have like a separation between this elevator and the room, and behind this door we can basically do whatever we want. But there are a couple of challenges here. First of all, this door and that door are not aligned. So that means that we somehow have to make a path that curves. And on top of that, I also want to have an exit over here. So yeah, that's a bit of a weird alignment here. And the other challenge that we have is this door is 4 wide. And usually when building, even white things are more difficult to build than odd white things. So this might be a little bit of a challenge. But I'm going to start by this thing, as I have probably told you already like 5 times. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? I think this looks great. I think I cooked on this, and I think this is a nice little cozy area that is also functional as an elevator. I managed to include a painting once more, and I'm not going to go on a ramble about why I really like paintings recently. For that, I refer you to any single one of the past 5 videos, I think. But I also included a crafting table here, which is more significant than you might think, because I actually like to have crafting tables accessible everywhere in my base. And the closest nearby one is all the way over here, which is actually quite far for my base. So it was almost mandatory, in my opinion, to have a crafting table over here. I tried to include an ender chest, but I couldn't get that to work somehow. And there is also an argument to not having one, because when you go to the top, you have one right in front of you over here. And yeah, this significantly reduces the travel time from over here to the storage system, so that's great. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I should start in the actual room, and I feel like I should start with the floor. So, as you can see, I have basically figured out the layout of the room. And the layout of the room is just a path that sort of twists and splits in the middle. And I actually think it works kind of well, especially because I kind of intend to add some water ponds next to this path, which is also partially why I added this border here using slabs. And actually that leads us to the next part of this build, and that is adding in the shape of the room basically. I'm not going to add in the water immediately because that is going to be a pain while building, so that's going to be something towards the end. Instead, I feel like right now I should dig and carve out the room as like a cave in the exact shape that I want it to be, and that is going to be quite a time-consuming process, I think. So, I think this requires a little bit of an explanation here. I expanded the room in all directions, that means both horizontally and vertically. And on top of that, I also textured the floor, the walls, and the ceiling. For texturing the walls and the ceiling, it's actually really easy. You just pick the blocks you want to use, in this case some stone and some green things, and you just alternate them randomly and it will somehow work. So that's the easy part. For the floor it's a bit more difficult because I want the edges to be grass. Later on we are going to fill these bits with water, so I kind of want the grass edges to have some green on the edge. The grass in the middle will be converted to dirt once there is water on it. And this is actually more difficult of a thing to construct than you might think it is, because getting the shape right of a build like this, that isn't like a rigid shape, this is an organic shape with like curves like a cave, that is actually more difficult to achieve and do correctly than you might think. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason that especially this build is difficult is you have to get the size right. And for this one it's actually really difficult. I expanded it to be quite big, actually, a little bigger than I want it. And that is because we are going to add in a lot of bushes and vines and leaves everywhere. And that will make the room look as if it is smaller than it actually is. Basically, by adding leaves and a lot of like little details, the room will feel like it has shrunk. So we have to expand it a little bit more. That is what we did. In fact, I expanded it to its absolute limits, actually, because I collided, or almost collided, with the redstone of the wool farm. And, you know, over here I can show you. So you can see like the walls of the cave like touch the redstone over here. And I also collided with the redstone of the cooked chicken farm up above. And I'm going to go up there to show you what I mean by that. So over here we have a farm that produces cooked chicken and feathers. And there's a secret entrance to the behind the scenes over here. And if we go, we even have like a redstone on the ceiling of the room below. Just so you have an idea of how far I could expand is exactly how far I expanded it. A tip to try and build something like this yourself is to smooth it out. If you cannot make it work when it's like a little bit more jagged, you just smooth it out, and usually in shape that will work. But sometimes you kind of want a little bit more of a jagged and rough look. Like over here we have this like thing sticking out a bit. That's not like smoothed out, but that makes it more interesting. So it's a bit of a balance between making it smooth versus making it more jagged and unique. Anyway, I think I will proceed to spamming in some glowberries, some leaves, maybe some flowers on the sides, and also placing in the water. And why is there a cat here? That's actually really interesting. Where do you come from? I do not understand that. The looks of this cave have been completely overhauled by adding in all the greenery, all the leaves, the vines, the bushes and the flowers. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I actually think that this room is completely finished, which is a bit strange to say actually, because it feels like I've been working on it non-stop and now it's suddenly like, oh yeah, it's done now. Anyway, there's a couple of things I want to talk about here, like some building tips. First of all, you can prevent these glowberries from growing by using shears on them on the bottom part. You can right click on them using shears and then they won't grow any further. Secondly, you can prevent sugarcane from growing by putting a string on top. Now, if your sugarcane is already 3 high, this is not needed because they won't grow higher than 3 on their own naturally. So if you want one to stay small, you can just put a string on top and you can barely see it. But in most practical purposes, you can't see the string. And the third thing that I want to draw your attention to is the lighting. Because actually the lighting in this build is kind of moody, it's kind of dark, especially like right here, it's really dark actually. And I tried some different lighting settings. Originally I had a lot more of the glowberry vines be the glowing variant, but that just didn't look as good, it just didn't work somehow, and I decided to remove all of the berries almost and just have a couple of them here and there. And now it actually looks a lot better. Another thing that I want to draw your attention to that I can't really explain, but I just observed something. In this build we have something weird, and I can't really describe how or why it works. We have this sugarcane over here and like this flower over here are a bit weird. As in, they block the view from a lot of different angles and positions, but still they do not feel like the centerpiece of your room. They're still like something on the side. And that's kind of weird because you're almost always looking at it, yet you're not drawn to look at it, which is kind of interesting to me. Maybe it works because they're a bit in the dark, but I can't really explain how that works or why this is the case. I kind of like the look of this thing being in the middle, and I don't want to remove it. I think it just works, and I have no idea how to reproduce that. But, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to move on to the next project. Actually, before we do that, I want to focus your attention to something different, and that is that we have used 2 rather scarce resources here, that is lily pads and this drip leaf plant. I have used for both basically the entire collection that we have, and that means that in the foreseeable future we can't really use these, because I don't think that we have a reliable source of either of those. So, you know, we can't build with these anymore for now. For the next project, I came to this chest right here to show you that we actually have collected over time quite a supply of copper. And this is not all, because over there in the ores chest there is still plenty of copper ore. So if we really want to, we can probably like double or even triple this amount of copper that we have in the copper chest. But I kind of want to try and build some things with copper. And the annoying thing is that we do not have wax to make it really possible to build with this copper without it oxidizing. So we basically have to build a wax farm or a bee farm or whatever you want to call it. And for that I come over here. We have collected quite a bit of bee nests. So now the thing is, we should build a farm using them. And where do we build that farm? I think I kind of want to continue building in the same area that we were building in earlier today. So let's go down here. And I just feel like I want to build something over here. So, ladies and gentlemen, over here I right now want to build a farm for collecting wax. While digging here, we came across some hindrances. First of all, there was a cave up there with some mobs in it, a creeper and some zombies. And secondly, there is this flooded cave right here, which is kind of annoying. But luckily, it's not too big, so we can just fill it in with blocks and then destroy them afterwards to get rid of the water. Alright. I have excavated a considerable area here, which I think will suffice to build our simple honey and wax farm. So the idea is that we build a small and simple wax farm and not a big huge bee farm, simply because I don't want to tackle something as big as that right now and I don't feel like doing redstone. Instead, I feel like we should start by figuring out how we want our farm to look. And we are kind of free to design it whatever way we want, because towards the sides, I think we have as much space as we want. So we can simply expand that way if we ever want to add redstone. There is one limitation here, and that is this. So these walls, especially on this side, we can't really go that way because this one is visible on the other side. Also, I want to try and build using bamboo, because I haven't really done that and I feel like we should try it. So let me just try and figure something out here. Let's first see if we can add a frame to our door here and see how that looks, because usually adding framing helps a lot. Yeah, maybe we can do something like that. I also feel like I want the ceiling in this room to be very high, and I've thought about perhaps adding like... Wait, let me demonstrate what I mean, because I can't find the words to express myself here. So what I have in mind is to have like horizontal things in the middle of the room, but have the ceiling still be higher up. This still counts as framing, even though it doesn't really frame the ceiling in any way. And how does this look? Maybe like add one towards the end here as well. We are running out of bamboo very quickly. Luckily enough, it's an easy resource to gather a lot of. Okay, oops, I misplaced that. And let's do the horizontal one as well. Okay, and how does this look? Does this look okay? Yeah, I feel like this could work. Let me figure something out and I'll get you back. I think I have figured something out here. So I really like this more detailed type of arch that we have here. And I kept the vertical pillars going in. I also already like integrated it with the door and the entrance over there, and I've kind of figured out the layout of the room. So the idea is that over here we have like 4 windows that look into the places where the bees will live with the flowers. And then at the end over there we have our controls for this farm. That means the chests in which we get the results, so the honey and the wax, and a control for turning it on and off. And then over here we have 2 things that are open, which I always like in my base. I also tried already some different blocks for continuing the build, and I think Poopy Brown is a really nice block to go with all of this. It has a high contrast with the other blocks, but I think it works. However, we have run out of this block, so we have to make a trip to the Badlands biome to get more of it. Alright, I have placed in all of the Poopy Brown walls, and with doing that, it feels like this room is a lot more finished now, and that helps me a lot in figuring out how exactly I want things to look, because most of the details are already in place. And yeah, it's all coming together very nicely. I think the next step is adding leaves in the ceiling, as we always do in our base, and adding windows to these things. Ladies and gentlemen, the leaves in the ceiling have been installed, and these windows as well. And I really love how the leaves in the ceiling really tie the room together. Though I have to be honest, and I feel like this room I've made some bold decision choices. And yeah, for example, we use a lot of sharp colors and high detail things, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, maybe it's a bit too much, but I've been thinking a lot about this and trying a couple different things, and I feel like I do like it, and I want to keep it the way it is. Yeah, anyway, I also tried a couple different colors for these windows. I tried red windows, I tried just regular windows, or even black ones, or whatever the color is. And I feel like the brown ones gave the best effect. Now, there remains only a couple things we have to do. Firstly, we have to design the rooms behind this glass, and we have to do the technical stuff using the redstone. However, I feel like I am not going to do the redstone today, simply because I don't feel like it. Also, this video is already quite lengthy, and I don't think it fits in today's episode. In these little like chambers, we obviously have to just spam a bunch of flowers, because that's what the bees will use in order to make honey. And I thought about using red flowers, because red contrasts well with all of the colors that we already have going on here. And it gets dulled a little bit by the brown stained glass. So I think red flowers should work. And I'm going to try to just spam a bunch of stuff here. And then we have to put some walls around here, and I feel like we should try red terracotta. I feel like this should always be some simple color like terracotta, but we will see if this is the right color to go with this. Also, I have no idea like what blocks are allowed to go in front of the beehive, because I think we should put the beehives like in the corner, because that gives us the most options to do the redstone. But yeah, we'll see how we do that. I think that's not too difficult, because we can just infinitely expand it to the side basically, or well, practically infinite. It's not actually infinite, but still good enough. Right, now let's see how that looks. That actually does not look too bad. We might have to try leaves in the ceiling in there as well, and I'll copy the design to the other things. When we go bold all the way. I have made the interesting design choice of placing a large painting right here, right in the middle of the room. And it's in a kind of weird spot, right? Because it's like right next to the chests and right next to the buttons and stuff. And I understand if your first reaction to this painting is like, oh, it looks kind of off, it looks kind of strange. Because that was my first reaction as well. But the longer I have been looking at it, the more I start to like it. And I've been looking at it for quite a while. And I've decided that it's actually quite good in my opinion. Like it's not bad at all. And I am going to stick with this and leave the painting there. I feel like that's a great design. And it also looks relatively good from like over here in this room. So yeah, I think I like it. Anyway, as you can probably tell by now, I have designed and built the interface for the farm that I intend to build in this room. And as usual, that consists out of a row of chests, which will give you the output, and some buttons to turn the farm on and off. Also, I've added a crafting table and ender chest like station over here, which is just useful everywhere in your base. And besides that, I have also changed the red terracotta that we were building with a couple seconds ago with green terracotta. Because I feel like the green terracotta just looked a lot better, and this is what we are going with right now. Also, I have copied the design to all 4 of these little containers. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like the design, basically how this room looks, is completed. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think that brings us, sadly, to the end of this episode. I am very happy with this episode because I feel like we've accomplished a lot. We built all of this today and we've built this today. Both of these rooms are actually quite good in my opinion. Like, I feel like we've done a good job. And yeah, in here I have made some tiny little changes. I've been shifting the lighting around a little bit, so it might look a little bit different. But I think the changes are small enough that you probably won't even notice them in the video. Right. With the end of the episode, there also comes the fact of the episode. And the fact of this video is that until the year 1999, the flag of Japan, the circle on it was not aligned perfectly in the middle. It was 1% off. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for watching, especially if you watched all the way till the end, till now basically. I hope I can see you in the next episode. And as always, keep wondering.